and so on. So that's a general bureaucracy question. Stats New Zealand had some price indices come out yesterday with inflation figures, and you see that food prices are up by about 4.4% the May to May year, so that takes up seasonality. Beef's up 16.2%, lamb up 20.3%, rent's up 2.8%. Cheese and milk are up 17.3% and 13.7%. Electricity is up 8.7%. Look, the reason I'm going through these figures is that they are the figures that affect many of our working families. And particularly people who are renting and so on. So there's a cost of living issue there, and of course, you frequently said you're laser focused on the cost of living. Can you tell me what specific measures you have in the budget to address the cost of living?
Well, absolutely focused on the cost of living, and delighted that those numbers are far smaller than they were during your time as a minister, when inflation generally and food price inflation in particular was a lot higher than it is now. I also note that the member didn't mention a statistic which I certainly welcomed in that release yesterday, which is that the rate of rent increases is now the lowest it has been since 2011.
Wow.
So more than a decade.
And that is,
order. Relevant to the member's question, because she specifically said what impact does this have for renters.
So what specific measures in the budget?
If I could finish my answer, Mr.
Please let the Minister
that would be helpful. And we are conscious very much that rent is a significant proportion of people's costs, that rents had ramped up significantly under the last budget, and we have taken intentional policy choices intended to put downward pressure on rents. So it is positive to see that those statistics are turning the other way. I've long said that I aspire to a situation where landlords are competing for tenants rather than the other way around. In terms of food prices, as I said, those rates of increase are lower than they have been.
You're allergic to Nikki, are you?
Talk about, for example, the meat price. That does reflect higher global commodity prices, and New Zealand does see those prices reflected in our prices. The question is, what can the government do? There are three key measures.
Hang on, just let the Minister out, and you've got plenty more questions.
I am about to address that question, Deborah. The first thing is, overall impact on inflation is significant to all prices that Stats NZ monitor, and I am proud of the fact that our government has made deliberate choices to rein in spending significantly, the lowest operating allowance in more than a decade, whereas the last government exceeded all of its operating allowances, reining back government spending so that inflation has been able to stabilise. This has allowed also the Reserve Bank to reduce interest rates. That set of fiscal choices is easily ignored. And we had a period in economic history where governments pretended that the way that they addressed the cost of living.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate that the Minister wants to outlay some background. She said 3 minutes now without getting to, I asked that what specific measures in this budget address the cost of living.
That's all right.
Background,
Yeah.
But if the Minister
and Dr. Russell, I want you to know that you'll get up to 8 questions like your colleagues have too, so we will get there.
Well, just a moment, Mr. Chair, it's not just a matter of number of questions, it's the amount of time the Minister is giving us information that she feels is necessary, but I don't do the specific.
Okay, well, can you repeat your specific question and we'll have another go?
What specific measures in this budget address the cost of living for working families?
We have, Mr. Chair, uncovered a significant philosophical difference, and I wish to highlight it before commenting on a number of other matters. That is, if it is the view of members that the only way that a government addresses the cost of living is through spending additional money, then we have uncovered the heart of the problem that occurred over the past 6 years, which is that governments that lose sight of the fact that their overall spending choices contribute to inflation and therefore the cost of living leads to a situation in which we had 7.3% annual inflation, 3 years of inflation out of band. My point is this. We cannot keep our eye off the ball of the underlying fundamentals that we put in place in the economy through our fiscal choices. To the second point of your question, which is which specific initiatives? No, we did not introduce a cost of living payment for dead people and French backpackers. Instead, what we did was we made adjustments to working for families, which mean that those families on the lowest and middle incomes will receive a small increase, a modest increase in the support that they receive additional to their existing entitlements. We also ensured that we have created more funding to make sure that food support services and other welfare support services continue to be available. We've made adjustments to accommodation supplement boundaries so that more people are eligible for accommodation supplements in some regions of New Zealand. We've made changes to the prescription period so that those families who often have high living costs as a result of high health needs in their family need to make less frequent visits to the GP and are able to have longer term prescriptions. There were a number of specific initiatives, but my point is an important one, which is if governments pretend that the only way they address the cost of living is through spending more taxpayers' money, they are taking their eye off the ball. And second is this, that member voted against tax relief changes, which mean that every family that has a taxpayer in it is now better off in terms of raw dollars in their bank account than they would otherwise be. And we have maintained those tax reductions in this budget. You oppose them, people would have less money in their bank accounts if you were in charge.
So Nicola is trying to make the point of there, look, I'm going to give you 6 chum chumps a fortnight. And look, people are grateful they're getting those 6 chum chumps a fortnight.
Yeah, except the 6 chuppa chups a fortnight don't really mean much if I can't use them to pay for the cost of living.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, I think she might be mentioning a local trend happening in Wellington of the fact that rent prices in Wellington are now starting to flatline. But the reason why rent prices are flatlining aren't because landlords are generous, it's because landlords are desperate to have their rental properties filled.
Yeah.
And it's because... the fact we have 12, I think it was, I can't remember if it was 12 or 1,800 empty rental properties available to move in now, available on Trade Me in the Wellington City Council boundaries. Now, that could sit down there and look like that on paper, but got to remember, Wellington had an out of whack rent increase, over the last 10 years.
Yep.
And at some point, when you have an out of whack rent increase, the market has to correct itself, and we're at a market correction point. But it doesn't sit there and say whether, that has flowed on to places like Porirua or Lower Hutt, and also, isn't Gisborne, the rent is still climbing? And the other thing is, some of these places yes, we're having empty rental properties, but how many landlords are still putting up the rent based on the fact that we're not in a heated market? They think we're, there's nowhere to move to.
Yeah, and I think another reason why
right, Jason.
Yeah, I think another reason why rent might be flatlining as well is because we're losing people over to places like Australia. I'd like to look at their rent market to see how much they've increased and see if there's a correlation between the two. I'm really concerned about the fact that domestically good products are being sold at export prices, because it's showing that the company can get away with charging export prices here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's going to mean a short-term boost for the shareholders and, in terms of profits and stuff like that for Fonterra and other groups, but that's not sustainable. People are going to change their consumption habits and go for cheaper products, and so farmers are going to be on the back foot again.
Yeah, I'll just actually sit down there. I'm going to get onto Woolworths' website, and we'll find out what the price of Nutterlex versus. So let's find out what the price of.
I want to know how much of a profit the supermarkets are making off that butter too.
Yeah.
Because that could highlight that National has done fuck all to correct that problem. And I wonder how much the regulatory impact, the regulatory standards bill is going to have when it comes to trying to correct that problem, if it gets passed.
Yeah, I'm just having a little bit of fun trying to work out. So if you want to buy
before you carry on, our export numbers are the rate of product that we're expected to export is going to drop pretty soon, based on international pressures, based on the way how they're spending money, thanks to the tariffs and stuff like that from Trump. So that could be another reason why the price of our butter and everything has gone up, because of less exports. Yeah.
So I'm just on here. So now this is going to be stark reminder of here. So we'll just go over here. So this is a dairy-free alternative for butter. The dairy-free alternative. Now this is a kg tub from Woolworths. I don't know what store that is. I'll be honest, it is made in Australia, but who gives a damn? It's the point there. It is $9.95. So this is a dairy-free alternative, a butter alternative product out there. Now let's take a look at the price of Anchor butter, which is on special for $9.90 for 500 grams, or $20 a kg. Now I'm actually very tempted to see if we can get Craig Rennie to actually do a price comparison between our vegan-free alternatives and our non-vegan alternatives. So put it this way, you can pay $20 a kg for butter at the moment, or you can pay for its dairy-free alternative at $10 a kg. Why is it cheaper to buy the vegan product than it is to buy the proudly New Zealand owned and manufactured non-vegan product? Now that's pretty damn concerning. Now put it this way, Nutterlex has barely shifted in price since Joanne introduced it to me in 2022, but the price of butter has doubled in that same time frame. Are you on mute, Laura? No. God, what? You and your microphone. Is Nikki Nobone's breaking your microphone now? Yeah. Yeah. So that is something worth taking into. Now, I will go and have a quick look here to see on BidFood. Now, this is my wholesalers account, so I will have that on there. Now, let's bring up the price, and I'll bring up another one on there. The vegan cheese. So this is the vegan cheese that I buy. Oh, great. I love the previous purchase one. And I'll see what is grated tasty. Now, grated tasty, we want 1 kg bag. So, we'll bring up here. So, this is the vegan cheese I buy for my consumption there. I can buy that for $17.04 plus GST. And if we want to look at ingredients, since that's being told on there, the ingredients is basically, for this one, is if you can see on the screen there, coconut, water modified starch, coconut oil, potato starch, salt, enphalizer, yeast flavor, extract, and all that. Contains no palm oil and has that sort of thing there. Now, let's take a look at the tasty cheese. Tasty cheese, $25.67 plus GST. And if we sit there and take a look at the ingredients, there are some ingredients in that. So, that's something else to go on there. Now, now there was questions on there from Jeff about the, the vegan one. The ingredients on there is vegetable oil, water, salt, emphasizer 471, sunflower lectins, natural flavors, vitamin A, D, E, natural flavors. That's pretty much of the same sort of thing there. The reason why Joanne used it was because it was closer to butter than say margarine, and was a lot better for the body, and it was the recommended vegan alternative. I mean, if we sit there and take a look at the ingredients of butter, I mean, hey, put it this way, there's even salt in it. So, yeah. So, we've had a great look at what the price of vegan grated cheese versus tasty cheese. Gotta admit, I do miss tasty cheese. It's nice, but my body shouldn't have it. And also the other one is with butter versus Nuttalex.
Yep.
The vegan alternative.
Now, is my audio back again?
Yes, your audio's back perfectly fine. And okay. I hope Nikki doesn't break it.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't break it either. I mean, yeah, to fix this problem is going to cost me a fair bit.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's my drivers. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm with my theory here that I think the reason why we're seeing export price parity with our butter is because I probably can't get all that on the screen, but it's because we're going to be facing a chilling effect. And I think they're trying to get as much money as they can while they can get it.
Yep. And yes, we could be in for an export drop coming up. Yeah.
Yep.
So yes, I think this is something we may have to get Craig Rennie to do a series on, price escalations between vegan and non-vegan products.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it too just has to do with the way how it's produced. When you calculate how many cows you can get on a field and how much milk they produce, and then you compare it to like a field of, say, oats or corn, you can actually get more calories per acre from oats and corn and sunflower and all that stuff. So when you do that, things start to get a bit cheaper, especially, when you look at how much water is used in production as well. When you've got the economy of scale there, you've got your factories that are churning stuff out, the demand is there, right? Over time, the prices are going to reduce. But
because
the technology is getting more efficient. Yeah, economies of scale. And you can get more calories and more product out of an acre of plants than you can out of an acre of cows. Now, so I think that's also another thing that needs to be considered here, is just the rate of efficiency and the rate of demand are at that level now, where now you're going to see the vegan product drop down in price, even with the fact that it has to be shipped over from Australia to New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, that's for that particular product. There are vegan places in there. I'll check with the Bidfood one of the vegan cheese there. Does that have country of origin on it?
I mean, I'm not an economist. I wish I was, but maybe one day. But that's just my guess.
Yeah. Actually, that's. I can always go downstairs and have a look at the bag itself. Considering I do have a bag that's actually sitting in there. New Dairy. Just trying to think, is New Dairy a New Zealand company or?
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yep, new dairy cheese. I get it for about $10 a kilo from Reduced to Clear.
Yep.
That's very comparable to non-vegan cheese.
It is a combined. So that is definitely an international company. New Dairy. I'm not sure if it.
I thought they were a New Zealand-based company. I'm pretty sure they produce.
They may have started in New Zealand, but they do stock stuff in Australia.
Oh yeah. They ship to Australia.
Yeah, it also sits there and says that they sell their products to Bidfood, Service Foods, Bucano, Davis Trading, Gilmore's, Can Catering, Nelson Food Distributors, and Wholesale Foods.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually the interesting one is, where does their Facebook page take them to? Because that usually has an address on there. It is a company based in Glen Eden, Auckland.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yep.
So yes, it is a New Zealand-based company that has gone international.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Nikki No Boats. And I managed to accidentally take off the shared screen, so let's get the